Good evening. I'm Scott Boyd, UYSA's lead commissioner. Also on this Zoom call is Michelle Wixom. Michelle, say hey.
Hello.
And Blaine Burnett from Utah Soccer and the UYSA office.
Hello.
And then just now joining us, perfect, is Holly Gundred from the Utah Soccer referees. So she can also throw in commentary as we're going along. The idea of this is to introduce to everyone in UYSA, as well as to introduce to all the referees, our plan for doing our best to eliminate racist comments. We know players are knuckleheads. We know sometimes parents can be knuckleheads. So we wish we could eliminate them completely, but we can't. But here's going to be our best try. Okay, so the issue. Too many complaints, racist language used by players and parents, even at regional events where UYSA ended up being very embarrassed. Goals to do everything we can to eliminate behavior using deterrence and education. Here's the directive to the referees. When a coach or player shares a complaint, and we don't care how the complaint gets to the referee, if a coach is off to the side says, "Hey, sir, I have something I need to talk to you about," then when the referee has the opportunity and they share it with them, they will then wait for a dead ball, blow their whistle, send both teams to their benches, go to the complaining team and get the specifics. Hey, if that includes player number, great. Go to the other team, let the coach know what was allegedly said. Remind the coach and that team that comments like that are never acceptable. And to bring the teams back on the field and restart from the dead ball. Just so everybody understands, the reality is our referees have a lot of discretion to be able to control a soccer game from the moment they show up at the field until they leave. So therefore, none of this is actually new. This is recommended procedure for them. This is what we would like to see to be able to keep it from happening at all in the future. Holly, would you agree with that, that this is something referees always had the ability to do?
Correct.
Okay, thank
That
you.
is correct.
Okay, so what's the purpose? Make sure the complaining players feel heard. I'm going to share a quick story with you. Actually, I'm going to share two stories with you. One of them that I don't think was racist. The other one I think probably was. Story number one was down in Phoenix. We had two teams playing. It was a cold day, and the referees, being from Phoenix, were not used to 40-degree weather. So we were wearing those hooded things that come all the way over to close to their eyes. The Utah team was upset because they thought that an AR kept missing calls because he couldn't see because his hood was over his face. And so one of the players yelled out at his coach, "He can't see," and kind of waved his hand in front of his eyes as if he could to basically say something. Game ends up. Days later, we get a complaint from the other team, which had Asian American players on it, who had taken offense because they thought the Utah players were saying that they couldn't see because of slanted eyes or whatever the case may be, and took offense. Had this been in place, we could have immediately gotten to the bottom of it. Players would have complained what the issue was. The referee would have gone to the coach of the Utah team saying, "Hey, here's what's alleged." The Utah player would have looked at him and said, "No, I was yelling at you because you and your AR can't see offside because of the situations." It could have been discussed. It would have been done. The players would have felt heard, and we would have been done with the issue. Okay. Second one, and this is a little bit more problematic. 17U may have been an 18U game. We have a player, Hispanic background, is playing quite rough and continues to get rougher and rougher and rougher as the game goes on, eventually being thrown out of the game. After the game, coach goes to the player, said, "What in the world was going on with you?" He said, "Oh, yeah, these jerks were killing me with racist comments the whole time. They were just trying to get me all fired up, and they were just trying to ruin me." Okay. Again, Had that information been given to the referee at the time, we probably keep this young man in the game. We keep a game from getting out of control and players potentially getting hurt, and we hopefully nip the behavior in the bud. So that's what we are trying to do. Once they know the information, referee and their crew will be cognizant of the issue. They're obviously going to watch more closely. And let's face it, nobody wants to be called out for allegedly making racist comments. Okay, it's embarrassing. In-game penalty, if the referee hears it, the referee has discretion on the discipline. And let's face it, if it's truly a racist comment and it's offensive, it's going to be foul and abusive. It's going to be an automatic ejection. After the game, I then have the discretion to add another game if it is use of racist language. And before you get to come back and play, I'm going to require a letter of apology from the player. If the parent made the comment, the minimum is going to be a 0 tolerance 1-season suspension. Minimum. Unfortunately, we've had a situation during the offseason where a parent made 2 incredibly offensive comments and has been suspended indefinitely until such time as he's willing to come in front of a disciplinary board and explain to them how he will never, ever make such a stupid decision again. Maybe at that point, we let him come back and watch his kid play. If there is only a stoppage and no further incident, the referees will still put in their report that they had to do the stoppage. I will send a note to that club that it was alleged against to have them address it with all their teams to make sure it doesn't happen again. And then now this is, frankly, these are comments made towards minorities. The next one is one where we're using unfortunate wording because some people may be trying to appropriate a word. The N word with the A. Last summer, UYSA had 3 separate players thrown out of regionals. One, I believe, was 1 at Far West and 2 at Regional President's Cup. They were suspended for the entirety of the tournament. Some of them got an additional year, all for using the N word with an A. Now, it wasn't them talking to a buddy saying, hey, blah, blah, blah. It was screaming at somebody in an offensive way and using that word. Cannot happen. Don't use it. Don't let your players use it at practice. I have been by a practice and I was listening and I heard that word no less than a dozen times. Okay. Players were using it conversationally. That's nice. But if you let them use it at practice, they're going to use it in a game. And referee discretion, it depends on what context you're using. We all understand that. But most likely it's going to be an ejection and you're going to get an extra game. Okay. As Holly will tell you, we're all on the same page on this. Up here at the top, this March 2024 Utah. If you click on that, that is the link to the Utah referees website and their newsletter. It has the report that is actually attached over the next few pages. So you can either try to scroll through it here on the PowerPoint when you get a chance to watch it. I'm going to go fairly slowly. You can hit pause as you go along, right? To be able to read through this. I'm not going to try to read through it. A lot of it is exactly what we're talking about already. And really important to worry about communication, yes. And figuring out, frankly, if somebody is using it intentionally, we probably need to figure out why and see if we can eliminate that from happening again. And we have that exact same report also in Espanol. So again, I'll go slowly so you can hit pause as you're going along and watching this later. Okay. And here's the big one, which is contact us. Okay. We need to know if these things are happening. Miss Holly needs to know. So you would contact me or Michelle if there is a referee where this happens and they do not follow the procedure. contact us. We will let Miss Holly know. She will make sure that they never do that again. Okay, because we are all working together to try to get this done. I've included Blaine Burnett on this, and he's on the call as well. And actually, reason is just so UYSA has been accused of being too pasty white. We appreciate that. We're not as pasty white as you think. We have 4 Spanish fluent people on, actually in the office. I will say 3 that speak real Spanish, and then Terry learned his for Argentina, so that barely counts. And so we can always communicate with anybody who needs to be communicated with. So now just quick follow-up to see if anybody has any question. Alex, you're the only one who's on behalf of the public. Any questions about what we just went through?
No question from me, Scott. I'm just a referee, just trying to keep my finger on the pulse. So
Brilliant. And we're doing this again tomorrow, so feel free to show up for that one too.
yeah, I'll be here for that too. Thank you.
Perfect. Holly, what are your thoughts?
I think you've hit them all pretty straightforward. The article we wrote was pretty much straightforward. We agree with everything that is happening with UYSA as well as what we're trying to do with our referees. So yeah, no, you've pretty much explained everything. So I think we're all on the same page, and as long as we stay that way, we should be good.
Well, and to give Holly a little bit of credit, we're not the only ones who agree with each other. Both U.S. Youth Soccer and U.S. Soccer relinked her article to, I believe, was it on Insta, Holly, is where they linked it?
Instagram. Yep.
And to
Instagram.
Insta. So, which also tells you they completely agreed with what we're trying to do. Blaine, any thoughts or comments?
I think it's a step in the right direction. I think we need to put a stop to it. And once again, I encourage people, if Spanish is an easy way to communicate, any complaints, they can call the office and be more than happy to help them out.
Okay. And then Michelle, you get the last word.
I think we're good to go.
Okay. Thank you, everybody
Scott.
who sat through. Oh, yes.
Yeah, Scott, can I ask a question real quick?
Yes, sir.
And Holly may be able to answer this as well. I've got many Spanish-speaking, almost only exclusive Spanish-speaking referees down in my region. Have we been able to translate this whole article and everything for our Spanish-speaking monolingual referees?
Yeah. Scott had Blaine translate it. So Terry, if you'd like a hard copy of that to send out, I would be happy to have, or I'm volunteering Scott to send that to you.
Perfect. Okay.
So that he can, I mean, because I read it and Blaine did a heck of a job translating my article. So that was great. So yeah.
Awesome. Yes, I would. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey. All right, everybody, that's everything. The plan is going to be, we'll have a link to this PowerPoint up on our website. In addition, I'm going to forward it to pretty much all of our leadership for all of our clubs and to the independent teams, just to make sure everyone's able to keep up on it. And it's not too long. So probably no excuse for not watching it at least once. All right, so now stopping recording.